24 years. That's how long Turkey waited to stand on this stage again. 24 years of qualifying campaigns that ended in April, of tournaments watched from home, of a country that once finished third in the world, forgetting what it felt like to matter. Then came a generation, not promising, not developing. Arrived. A teenager running Real Madrid's midfield, a forward Juventus paid real money for, a captain who had already conquered Europe with two different clubs. They called it golden. They believed it. This is the story of what happens when a nation puts 24 years of hunger onto the shoulders of players who had never lost anything that mattered. Chapter 1. The Ascent. Arda Güler. 19 years old when Real Madrid signed him. A free kick specialist, a passer who sees the game 2 steps ahead of everyone on the pitch. Kenan Yıldız. Juventus built their attack around a kid who wasn't even born the last time his country played a World Cup match. Can Uzun. Eintracht Frankfurt's breakout striker, ice in front of goal at club level. And leading them, Hakan Çalhanoğlu, a captain who had already won titles in Germany and Italy, brought back to carry a golden generation home. Under Vincenzo Montella, this Turkey side had already given the country a reason to dream. A run to the quarterfinals at Euro 2024. A World Cup qualifying group finished on top, ahead of teams that had played in Qatar 4 years earlier. Pundits called them dark horses. Fans called them saviors. Nobody called them what they'd actually become. Chapter 2. Group D. Turkey, the United States, Australia, Paraguay. On paper, a group they were expected to escape comfortably. The first match, Australia. Turkey dominated possession, Turkey created chances, Turkey lost 2-0. The second match, Paraguay, a team playing with 10 men before halftime, after a red card for their opponent's captain, Miguel Almiron, in the first dismissal under FIFA's new rule, punishing players for covering their mouths while speaking to an official. 10 men. A numerical advantage that should have been decisive. Paraguay scored in the second minute, the fastest goal of the entire tournament, and then did what 10 men are not supposed to be able to do for 88 minutes. They held 1-0, Turkey eliminated, before their final group match had even kicked off. Here is the number that defines this collapse. 62 shots, combined across both matches. 0 goals. The most shots without scoring across any 2-match span in World Cup history since records began in 1966. Arda Güler had chances. Kenan Yıldız had chances. Can Uzun had chances. Merih Demiral had chances. Nobody scored. Chapter 3. The Reckoning. Arda Güler stood in front of his country and apologized. "We are ashamed," he said. Vincenzo Montella searched for an explanation that wouldn't sound like an excuse. "Fate was not on our side," he offered. It didn't land. Turkish media didn't call it a loss. They called it a fiasco. One of the most resounding failures in the country's football history, made heavier by the fact that Turkey's last World Cup squad, in 2002, was considered less talented than this one. That squad finished third in the world. This one didn't survive the group stage. This is what a golden generation costs when it doesn't deliver. Not criticism. Warning. Turkish pundits described the elimination as a national trauma. In a country that had waited 24 years for this exact team, at this exact tournament, there was no cushion for failure. Only the fall. Chapter 4. The Meaningless Win. 3 days later, Turkey played the United States. Already eliminated. Already home in every way that mattered. They won 3-2. Arda Güler scored. Barış Alper Yılmaz scored. It was Turkey's first World Cup win since 2002. The same tournament their golden generation was supposed to surpass, not just equal. Nobody in Turkey celebrated. You cannot resurrect a tournament with a dead rubber. The scoreline went into the record books. The pain stayed in the country. Chapter 5. Close. Vincenzo Montella now manages under the weight of a nation calling for his job. Arda Güler goes back to Real Madrid, still owing his country a tournament he hasn't delivered. Kenan Yıldız goes back to Juventus, and Uzun goes back to Frankfurt. They are still young. They are still, individually, some of the most talented players their country has ever produced. But talent was never the question. Icarus had wings too. What killed him wasn't the wax. It was the distance between how high he flew and how far he had to fall. Turkey didn't lack a golden generation. They lacked the one thing 24 years of hunger cannot manufacture. A team, in the moment that mattered, that knew how to finish.